there Star Wars collectors, and welcome back to another Bossk's Bounty video. Now if you managed to see one of my most recent pickup videos, I did pick up the Anakin Swoop Bike here. Now this is because I want to customise the Anakin Skywalker Padawan from Attack of the Clones, which came out last year. And then put him on that bike and it's going to look awesome. Now I got this idea from my good buddy Tyler from over at the SWTVC group on Instagram. He put a post or a video reel type thing on his personal Instagram, which is SW Collector 3.75, I think. I'll leave a link to it in the description below anyway. He put a video out with this guy sitting on that bike and it looked absolutely awesome. The way he had his cape and everything draping down, it looked movie accurate, and I thought I've just got to do that myself, even though I am a bit rubbish at customizing figures and anything DIY and things like that. Luckily for us, he also put out a tutorial on how to do it, exactly what you need to do to the cape to get it looking more movie accurate. So I've watched that a couple of times. I've got all the gear that I need, that he suggested that you need, including this stuff. This is to attach the cape to the shoulders of Anakin, and Tyler did put a warning out that this stuff is pretty lethal. Obviously it's super glue, so you don't want to be getting it on your hands or in your eyes. And what did I do when I was fixing something for little Bossk? I got it on my hands, and believe me, it is very fast bonding and you just do not want to get it on to your fingers or anything. It's pretty lethal stuff. It's not very nice at all. So I'm going to be a lot more careful in this video on that front of things. But yeah, so the first thing we need to do is get this guy out of the packaging and trim down the cape to get it into a position where we're ready to stick it to the figure. Alright then, so here is the Vintage Collection Anakin Skywalker from Attack of the Clones out of the packaging, and I've already taken the cloak off. And the cloak is the thing that we need to look at first of all. So Tyler said the first thing that you need to do is get rid of that sort of piece of material there, or piece of string, which is supposed to mimic a chain. That does not exist in the movie, so we're going to get rid of that. Then we're going to iron it, so to get all these creases out and everything so it sits nicely on the figure. And then we're going to attempt to, you know, put it on the figure. I think there is also some excess cloth that we need to get from the seams, things like that, that you can cut off, being very careful not to go too close so that you end up sort of trimming away the stitching, and then it will just fall apart. So let's do that first of all and see how I get on. Okay then, so there is that trimmed off. So we no longer have that piece of string for the neck. And now we're going to get rid of some of this excess material around the neck there. That is what Tyler said we need to do next. So we're going to do that without going too close to that stitching if possible. So let's see how much of that we can get off there without actually ruining the robe. So there's the neckline now. I think I've got that as close as I want to go to the seam. We don't want it falling apart or anything like that. And then as Tyler said, you can see all of that excess in the hood there. So if we can get a lot of that off, then the hood is going to sit a lot nicer on the figure. So let's try and take some of that off without going too close to the seam. We don't to the stitching rather. We don't really want to cut that off. Hopefully I haven't gone too far. You know, this is my first attempt, so let's hope I get it right on the first attempt. But I'm thinking I can get rid of a bit more of that there, just as it sits nicer. Yeah, perfect. Let's just get rid of that bit as well, look. Okay, so I'm quite happy with that. I'm just going to get rid of this little piece here. Tiny loose thread. There we go. So now what we need to do is iron this to get it into, you know, to get all these creases out and everything to make it look a bit better. And then we're going to stick it onto the figure. And hopefully I do that bit correctly, because once you put that glue on, it ain't coming off. Okay, so that is now ironed. You can see that I've got all of the creases out of that, so that looks a lot better. And I've also ironed these, what are they, tabards or something? I've ironed those as well, so they're nice and straight as well. You want to be careful with the iron. Don't have it too hot. You don't need it too hot. This is very sort of thin material. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put a dab of this evil glue just on there and attach it to Anakin's shoulders. Now this is the bit that obviously I don't want to get wrong, so I'm going to do it in front of me off camera and then I'll just show you the result. Okay then, so now you can see that I've glued that cloak to just the top of his back there. So now what we need to do is pull these over like so, and then you get that nice hood effect, and with the tabards, and we're going to stick them just here, just a tiny bit of glue just behind there, and then we're going to do the other one as well. And then I'm also going to tidy up around here as well, just to get rid of a few of these loose threads and excess material which I could have cut off earlier, but I was just being a little bit careful not to cut off too much, but I think I can cut off a bit more. Okay, so that's one side done. Just glued down very slightly on his shoulder, and you can see that hood's looking pretty cool now. It's got that sort of fold in it, which looks good. And we're going to do the other side now. And there we go, there's the other side glued down. So now what we're going to do is glue these tabards ever so slightly just to his top of his chest there, like so, which will just keep them in place, and it'll also make the hood look pretty cool. Alright then, so I'm about done on this, and I've got to say I'm actually pretty impressed with my first attempt at something like this. I think it looks pretty good. I mean, it certainly looks a hell of a lot better than it does out of the packaging when you get it with that silly little rope around his neck and it just flaps around all over the place. Doesn't sit on the figure well at all. And I think that looks pretty good. I think obviously that could do with a bit of an iron again, just to get that a bit straighter. Maybe a little tiny bit more glue just there, just to let it sit there a little bit easier. But I think I've done that pretty well. I'm actually quite proud of myself. And if you look there, there's the hood. The hood looks good. Some of the excess material that was inside has been taken out, which allows it to sit a lot better. And it still works as a hood if you want to put it over his head. But I quite like it like that. And in fact, it would be nice if that just sat a little bit better. Maybe if I could iron that. You've got to be careful ironing seams and things like that though, because you'll make them shiny with the iron. You don't want to do that. But that just sort of catches on his ponytail quite handily there. And then if you just look at him from the front, I think that looks pretty good. So, moment of truth. We're going to open the Swoop Bike and we're going to put him on and see if he looks pretty good. Let's do it. Alright, so first of all, let's just take a quick look at the Swoop Bike, because considering its age, this is actually a really, really nice vehicle. Really good piece this. It's got some nice weathering and everything on it. Some nice battle damage, some scuff marks. All that kind of stuff that you would associate with the Vintage Collection. They were doing it back then. Really nice sculpt all the way over. You've got this like little sort of knapsack thing on the back there with some rope holding it down. You can see the handlebars there, so, and the foot grips, so hopefully he's going to be able to sit on that quite well. The paintwork on the top isn't so great. That, you know, the paint just looks a bit of like it's been splodged on basically, but it does make it look old and rustic. I think maybe you could even maybe sort of mod this a bit more with some weathering and everything, but you know, particularly on here, I think they've done quite well. You can see there on the front, that doesn't look great. You know, I think that's supposed to be like scuff marks from where bits of stone and grit and that have been hitting it, but you know, it certainly looks better on the back here. There's a bit more toned down on the back there, whereas on the front it's a bit, you know, that paint's a bit too white for my opinion. But it's a great looking Swoop Bike. There's lots of detail and everything, and you know, it's going to stand by itself with these 2 feet here, so it's going to stand there looking pretty good. But if you had one of those sort of clear stands like Tyler did and make it look like it's flying, then even better. But anyway, let's get Anakin on it and see what he looks like with his modded cape. Alright then guys, so here is the final product. I've got to admit, it did take me a while to get the figure onto the bike. I had to cut away some of his plastic robes slightly because that was interfering with the seat. I do believe that Tyler used another version of this figure, maybe the one from the cancelled Legacy collection. I think that might have soft goods on those sort of lower robes that he's got on the front there. I've just cut mine away ever so slightly just so he can sit on the bike. It doesn't make a blind bit of difference to the figure once he's on the bike, and as you can see, that robe looks 10 times better. It looks like it's blowing in the wind, and he's got those tabards that are coming down on the figure, and I think it just looks, you know, 10 times better. And this is now ready to go into my collection. Looks pretty cool. His hand does keep popping off the handlebar there. It's very, very difficult. Unfortunately, he's got really puny wrists. They haven't got a hinge, which doesn't help at all. But I've done my best with it, and I think it's just more about getting that robe looking good. And I think for my first attempt, I've done pretty good here. At the end of the day, this figure is not expensive here in the UK, so if I did want to sort of get another one to try and do the cape or the cloak even better, then I think I probably could. But I think I'm quite happy with the way that I've done it there. I think it looks pretty good. That is what I wanted to accomplish. And yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you think I did on my first sort of customization, cutting away at a cloak and gluing it down in place? I think I've done all right. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let me know if you have this swoop bike. Let me know if you're using this same Anakin in the same way. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, everybody, and we shall see you on the next one.